Ladies and gentlemen, as Columbia Global Centers in Turkey, it is a pleasure to have Columbia alumni from Turkey and abroad, along with Columbia deans, professors, and administrators in Istanbul, together with our esteemed guests. And we thank the Columbia Association for this wonderful occasion. We have just a short video, a greeting video from Dr. Mehmet Öz, and then we'll be going on with our panel.
A warm hello from New York to all of you celebrating with Columbia University in Istanbul. Like the program that has brought you all together, Columbia's presence in Turkey is growing through the Columbia Alumni Association and the Columbia University Alumni Club of Turkey, and now through a new global center. Now, as a member of both the Columbia faculty and as a family of Turkish origins, I'm especially proud to see the university launch a global center in Istanbul. When this happened last November, I was thrilled. There were Turkish journalists and business leaders. Ipek Taha was now the interim director. And this center is going to help strengthen research and program partnerships in the region, help Columbia know more about Turkey, and help Turkey continue to grow. So, to both Turkish alumni and guests from all of the other countries that are there, I want to thank you for being with Columbia in Istanbul. I hope you have a chance to meet soon, whether along the Bosphorus or on the Hudson. And for now, let me just say, if I can say this in Turkish, hoş geldiniz, and have a wonderful evening and safe travels.
So, welcome once again to our panel. I don't know how we're going to top that one, but we're going to try, at least to keep you entertained throughout the evening. Our panel is going to discuss Turkey's paths to the future. As you know, Turkey is a country with many paths and many nuances. It's an ancient country, as well as a very contemporary and active member of the world community. Tonight, we have 4 distinguished panelists who also have the added distinction of being Columbia graduates. Please extend a warm round of applause for all our panelists, and our panel will start momentarily. Thank you.
I'm quite certain that most of you, especially those that have come from abroad, feel this upbeat mood of Turkey's future. I mean, there is a consensus that Turkey looks to its future with confidence. Turkish economy is really doing very good in the recent years. Last year we grew 8.5% and became the world's fastest growing second economy after China.
The fact that so many European countries, Greece, Portugal, Spain, and so on and so forth, are having enormous economic challenges, to put it mildly, is making Turkey all of a sudden look very good. Vuslat already mentioned the numbers, 8.5% economic growth just last year. Those are figures that most European countries are dreaming about these days. And Turkey is set to become the 10th largest economy in the world. So I can say that Turkey's view has been changed in a very favorable manner due to the euro crisis. The euro crisis has definitely had a positive impact, as ludicrous as it may sound, has had a positive impact on the image of Turkey abroad, certainly in Europe.
Turkey, when under this mega goal of becoming one of the 10 biggest economies, has some sub-goals, 20 or something. These vary from setting up bridges, third bridge to Istanbul, to transportation, airports, education, lowering unemployment, etc., etc. They are all, as I said, very visionary and very challenging goals. However, there is no goal set for narrowing the big gender gap we have between women and men in the society. And that is, for me, very disappointing. The reason is, I truly believe that without unleashing the woman potential in the economy, in politics, in social life, it is not possible to really achieve this goal. However, Turkish woman has a huge potential. Just to give a small but significant example, in the globe, around the world, 5% of CEOs are only women. Only 5%. In Turkey, this number is 13%. So it's a huge number. Why? Because those women are the lucky ones that get the chance to go to education, motivation from the family, and belief in themselves that they can do it.
This generation, which I'm talking is more around 20 to 25 to 30 years old, are much more educated. They are educated not only in Turkey, but outside Turkey. They are slowly coming into power. And given now there are lots of private institutions in Turkey and everything, they are much more globally integrated. And they also have, including the social media and the information, they are much integrated to the topics which we are talking about. I think there's a major impact we'll see. And I think it has started already with these people. And I think if Turkey will move to the stage where we're talking about 2023, I think that will be the scenario while these people create rather than us. So I think I honestly see my role more on a mentorship level, paving the way, opening up the way for these people to voice their opinions and shape the economy and the political scene in Turkey.
Demographics, Emre mentioned by the way, I do consider myself still young, if that counts. But no, you're right, of course. Demographics also, one aspect that Europe has tremendous problems with. Most European countries, particularly the country I live in, Germany, is rapidly aging. It has a rapidly aging society with a very low birth rate. And that cause for concern, of course. And they look towards Turkey, and Turkey is today the 17th most populous nation. And I've read that only 6% of the 75 million people are under the age of 65. This is an incredible number by European standards.
I have been seeing a big change in the last 3-4 years because this takes the whole population. When you look at the young generation, I'll give you specific examples from the internet side. I mean, there are a couple of like 2-3 companies who were set up 2-3 years, even like 2 years ago, most of them, which I was part of one of them. And these companies now created wealth over $1 billion, or employs around 2,000-3,000 people. And these people mostly all started by people who were educated well. And most of these people, like Columbia graduates, Ivy League, US, Europe, instead of choosing to stay in the US, working in a corporate environment, decided to come back to Turkey and start a new business. Because from their perspective, they had the confidence that they'll make it big in here. Because they were equipped, educated for it, they've worked in global companies, whatever. So when I look at them, actually, I see lots of potential. So I believe if Turkey can utilize this youth energy, channel it in a right way, I think there's so much add value that will be created. And these people who are coming back, I mean, I think it's a big plus for Turkey because, I mean, I had to come personally for family reasons because we had a family business. But probably if looking back 20 years ago, I mean, I was working in a great company then after I graduated, probably I would have never come back. And these people actually consciously making a decision, taking a risk, coming back here because the opportunity is there, they can make a difference here. And I think we should prosper this and push it forward in our ability, and we should attract these people to be part of the change what's happening right now.
Well, in the international arena also, Turkey has become a much more active player. That is also very obvious, especially with the Arab Spring. Turkey has become a role model, an inspiring role model for the region. There is, I think, also a consensus on this subject.
Many European countries are now coming to terms with the fact that all these Arab countries, maybe Tunisia, Libya, or Egypt, that democracy and freedom are two different things in that part of the world. These people were asking first and foremost for freedom, not necessarily for democracy. And you can see what I mean by that. You can see which parties are succeeding at the ballot box. These are mainly parties that have an Islamic theme to them. So many Europeans are frankly worried about where this region is headed. And they look towards Turkey for leadership. And not just Turkey, I look, you know, the very famous Time magazine cover now, of course, with the Turkish Prime Minister, Erdogan's way, meaning Erdogan's way being the model that Islam and democracy are compatible. It's ironic because the same European countries and same Europeans who look towards Turkey for being a model democracy, a Muslim democracy, for Arab Spring countries, for them, when it comes to the EU and EU membership, Turkey is too Muslim.
I'm glad you mentioned Islamophobia as well, because that's an important component of European politics.
It is very important, particularly after 9/11. Germany has 4 million Muslims, and of those 4 million Muslims, 2.5 million are Turks. And Islamophobia, and you can see at the ballot box, you can see how far-rightist parties in Europe that run purely on an anti-Islamic platform are now making it into parliament. Holland, obviously, with Geert Wilders, is a very prominent example. You had Le Pen, Marie Le Pen, gaining a lot of votes in France, and so on and so forth. So yeah, you're absolutely right, Ipek. I mean, the Islamophobia, and Germany is no exemption, runs rampant in Europe, and that is certainly something that, as I said, when it comes to religion, there's a double standard. There's a double standard how Turkey is being viewed. The view from Europe is also, frankly, and we are in this town today, is Istanbul. Many Europeans define Turkey by the city. And Istanbul, and I'm sure you notice when you go abroad yourself, has something you cannot buy. It's a coolness factor. It is every public relations company would die. I mean, Berlin, the city that I'm based in, also has that allure, certainly. Not sure it's all justified, but Istanbul certainly has the coolness factor.
Thank you for that. You know, it's a very complex and different world out there. But you were so gung-ho on Turkey and Istanbul. It's a good maybe transition into Nazlı, who's going to talk about more the architecture, the culture, and maybe a little bit about the art scene in Istanbul. So we'll see if she's going to challenge you on some of those fronts.
I'm always researching for something new, and with each project I explore a new dimension of some sort. This is another restaurant where we were making references to the wrought iron craftsmanship of Turkey, and the ceiling is suspended. You can't really see in the slide. This is X. A lot of us here tonight have been to X this week. I'm showing it because it has also special references to Istanbul. So the idea is here to sort of reflect the views and the skylines and the skyscraper of Istanbul, and maybe to mimic that with the ceiling, and also to bring the city into the space with reflecting surfaces, and make the space as seamless as possible, and let the city sort of walk through and pass through the deep corridors of the space. Just a few nostalgic images of circa 1900, 100 years ago, in fact 110 years ago, we already have a very dense urban fabric, though it's at a much smaller scale. It is a true cosmopolitan city, a lot of activity that you still feel it's already there. But anyway, so this is the city in 1900, and this is what we have now, 110 years later. So, and most of this change has happened in the last 30 years. I could say. However, the last 5 years has been supersonic speed of change. And this is just a panoramic photograph I took last week from the Taksim area. So, I mean, this is actually telling a lot. I mean, in New York, I know that there has been a lot of changes in the city in the last 15 years. If you turn your head for a second, where there used to be a chain of stores, charming stores in a block of New York, could be gone, and a mega chain could be there. But in Istanbul, actually, you could turn your head for a second and a whole building block will be gone. And And this is the kind of view you would get. So it's an interesting moment, a split second in history of Istanbul's metamorphosis. This won't last very long, so those are kind of precious moments to look at. And quality of life is really what makes a citizen happy. So how do we provide that quality of life? And as you can see in these images, in Istanbul, the quality of life can be really discussed. It's you know, we have the glam and the glitter and all this euphoria and this wonderful, cool place, Istanbul. But there's also these very real issues that has to be resolved. You know, if we are building so many buildings, it's wonderful, but are we really are we forgetting about the infrastructure? And if we're not, are we planning long-term enough? Is it an intelligent enough infrastructure to hold up this growth? So I'm going back. So now as a global city with seemingly good economic resources, there's no valid reason why we should not at least be attempting at all of these issues to resolve them and to make them work. If we're doing that, then I can proudly and confidently say that Istanbul is a groundbreaking global city, because after all, if we are referenced by the most humbling architectural excellence of the world, that we are safeguarding in our backyard, a megacity of almost 20 million with hundreds of years of leadership of design and culture should be producing no less than that. So I'd like to say one final word, that this city, like any other, but with funkier characters, is like a live reality show. It's a laboratory. And I'm thrilled to say that Mark Wigley, the Dean of the Architecture School, who's here tonight, is landing GSAP's Architecture School's Studio X in Istanbul for some serious research. And I'm very excited to be collaborating with him on this exciting project. Thank you.
Well, thank you to all our panelists, and thank you to all of you for your patience. George, as some of you might know, is the chair of the Columbia Alumni Association, and he has also served previously as a trustee of the university for 12 years.
It's my great honor to participate in events like this, mainly in the United States, but this has been truly, truly extraordinary. And I want to give a few words of thanks to, again, to Ipek and this wonderful panel, to our guests, to alumni of other schools. Here today, you've learned about Istanbul, about Turkey, about Colombia's role in helping Istanbul and Turkey, Turkey's role in the future, Istanbul as an eternal global city. I think you've also learned of President Bollinger having joined with faculty and local supporters under Ipek's leadership to open a Columbia Global Center here in Istanbul. And tonight's panel is just a reflection of that type of commitment and the drive and determination of 310,000 living alumni of Columbia University. So in closing, let me just say this in no uncertain terms. Let this panel tonight assure you of the brightness of the future of Istanbul, of Turkey, and of Columbia University globally. Please join me on my palace terrace for drinks, and thank you very, very much.